Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hello there. It's obviously not Steve. It's Becky Brown, and I am so glad to be with you today. I am joined by Milan Yerkovich and Dr. Jill Hubbard in California.
Yes,
hi, you guys.
We are just excited to be with you today, Becky, and you are a wonderful host sitting in for Steve. You are. It's great to be with you.
Well, it's a privilege. You know, one of the challenges that we have is seeking help when we need it, right? I mean, how many times do people struggle with something for so long and just don't even know how to begin the process of healing?
Right.
And they'll live years like that.
Right.
You know, this weekend we have our Restore workshop, which is for women who have experienced betrayal in their relationships. And that's one of the biggest challenges for us to get women to understand that they need help as well. This is something that's happened to them. And, you know, Milan, I'm sure in all of your years of helping people uncover their own wounds, what are some of the reasons that you've heard for people not seeking help?
Well, I think two. One is an isolation. They believe that somehow their situation is unique, instead of being a common occurrence to many of us. And so in being isolated, they'll think, well, this is a one-off. It just happens to me. It didn't happen to anybody else, and something's wrong with me. And then associated with that, Becky, is shame. A lot of people feel shame that they, in fact, that something was done to them. And again, they will tend to believe, and one of the things I love about the Restore workshop is when I personally read their responses after the workshop. So many of them will say, I walked into this weekend so filled with shame and believing I was alone. And but I realized I wasn't alone, and that this could happen to anyone. So it's not just me. It's just not a focus against me. Right. This is something that happens. So those would be the two reasons why I think people don't seek help. They struggle with isolation and shame.
Okay, Jill, how
Absolutely.
about you? What do you think? What do you think some of the barriers are for people seeking help?
Well, I think, yes, a lot of times women in that shame, right, they take it as something is wrong with them and that they're so deeply flawed, and it's hard to reach out from that place. That can be a very depressing place and dark place. And when you're trying to hide that, it's hard to go someplace and expose it all. But I think a lot of times we find that women are in so much pain that finally they realize they have to do something.
And there's relief.
And there's relief. There is.
Yes.
And with some encouragement. You know, a lot of times they'll seek therapy because that feels very private. And then in that, I always encourage women to go, and it's amazing what happens.
Well, you know, we have a tip sheet, whether you are thinking about going to Restore, but also you could just be somebody who's struggling with something and don't know how to get help. It's 5 barriers that keep you from getting help. You can call us and ask for that 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We want to help you get help. That's why we're here. And if you want to join us at the Restore workshop, you can give us a call and we'll get you connected there. We do have scholarships available if that's something that might prevent you from going. But either way, we know that there is hope, and we want to help you experience that hope. And that's why we're here. And right now we're here because we're going to be answering some calls and helping some folks along the way. And I hope that you can see hope in your future. If not, give us a call at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and we will get you connected to some help. We'll be right back after this break.
My husband was involved with a pornography addiction.
He was unfaithful. I called the wedding off. He stepped out on the marriage and ended up having a child.
The Restore Workshop is designed for a woman dealing with a man's sexual addiction issues.
My husband is a recovering sex addict. There were strip clubs, other ladies.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Workshop will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
Restore has empowered me and has given me the tools to work through my anger, work through my pain, work through my confusion, and help me realize that I am worthy.
Being here and being surrounded by people who get it has given me my power back.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Southern California February 25th to the 27th. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go online to newlife.com.
Thank you, Restore. You have changed my life forever.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. In the month of February, for a gift of any amount, we will send you a copy of Dr. Dave and Jan Stoop, Smart Love. And it talks all about how to connect with your partner and your spouse and just to find the deeper levels of connection in intelligence.
Right, emotional intelligence.
Yeah, exactly. So give us a call if you want to support New Life, and you'll get that free book. With a gift of any amount. We're so it's not really
exactly
free, but yeah. But boy, the payoff is out of this world, right? You'll learn so much.
Yes.
We love Dave and Jan. Miss him. We're going to go to calls, and we're going to talk to Mary, who is a Club New Life member. She's calling us from Louisville, Kentucky, and listens on Pure Radio. Hi, Mary. How can we help you today?
Well, you've helped me many times before. I'm a partner, and I've been listening since Minworth Meyer days. So,
wow,
I go way back.
Mary.
Yes.
I am also a widow of 3 years, almost 4, 3.5, and you all have workshops about so many different things, but I would love to see a workshop where Christian singles could get together and you could do some sort of vetting sheet. Like if you went to somebody and asked, what questions should you ask, and something like that, because you all would be able to put something like that together. I would not be able to, and but I've been a Christian all my life. My mother was secretary to the minister right before I was born, and I've been a BSF discussion leader. I've been in choir. I've taught Sunday school. So I definitely, my prayer is for a godly helpmate. And yet I'm not going to go online because I don't trust that. Anybody could call in and say anything, but I want a situation where they could be somewhat vetted by a questionnaire that you all could prepare, and maybe something that would line up with your cruise, or
we'll certainly
activity.
We'll certainly pass that along to Steve. And I know in the past he's done some different pilot programs and things on dating, and I know that there is a workshop on grief in the works, which is the precursor to what you're talking about. So dealing with loss and helping people move through the grief process and to really know or be taught how to do that. But I hear
did the grief show.
Go ahead.
At my church. I did the grief week.
Okay, that's good.
Program at my church.
Right. So and that's a great thing for people to do. So we're going to be offering something with our twist on it. But yeah, I'll definitely pass that along to Steve, because that might be a good thing.
Well, but in the meantime, Mary, it might be a while before that happens. Milan, what would you suggest for Mary?
Well, Mary, I can tell you're seeking protection. you're wanting
Right.
someone to be a protective barrier or a buffer to, create a safer zone. What are you most afraid of, Mary?
Well, I have, let's see, I'm trying to think, the book on gaslighting and everything.
Okay,
Intimate
so did you have any betrayal in your history?
I did.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. And it really makes a lot of sense as to why you would want some protection and some covering in a more protective environment. It makes a lot of sense, Mary. I really do.
And why you wouldn't just trust yourself, having been in that situation.
That's exactly where I was going to go, is learning to trust yourself. And then you being the one who puts together a set of questions to thoroughly vet anyone that, to use your word, which is a great word, that you would be interested in dating. And it's almost as though you don't want to get out there because you're afraid you might get duped or somebody might not tell you the truth. But I really think that at this point you may have to move into one of those directions, but then you would be a secondary vetting process of asking hard questions and of what is
Milan, going along with that, Steve always talks about having a team.
Right.
You have a couple of girlfriends that know you well, and that as you take those risks of, just meeting somebody for coffee, that they are the people that you talk to about these kind of things. And if you haven't done a lot of healing work around the betrayal trauma, Restore could be a great weekend for you as well. Not that, I just want to.
I did Restore.
Oh, great.
Oh,
Mary.
good. Okay, Mary.
And so I
So
think
you're
I've
just
taken
looking
just
for
about
that next
everything
step.
you've offered.
Well, right.
Well, I love that.
Right.
Go ahead, Jill.
I think what both of you are saying. So, Mary, you have your vetting, and then you have your close friends also vet, that you don't do anything in isolation. Because, yes, we want to be able to trust ourselves more, but we don't only want to rely on that. I have a good friend that I went to a couple of her weddings where that was the first time I met the guy. And I could see at the wedding, oh no, this isn't going to work. And they did not work, right? Now, had she, brought them around, I could have shared my thoughts with her, right? And so
it's important. It's important to have the friends that will speak into that as well, because, there are some friends that, whatever you want, Mary, you just go for it, as opposed to being wise and discerning. So it's really important to have a good group of people who can help you in that process.
Well, the beginning was good. I'm not sure. I was married for 57 years, so I'm not a one to bail out, and it wasn't. It was. I have 3 wonderful children, and they have good spouses, and I've got 5 grandchildren. So I haven't. I've been through a lot of different things, but I don't know how much the illness contributed to the action, because I think that is probably partly a factor in
your husband's illness
he was
contributed to his betrayal.
For 20 years, yes.
Yes, okay.
CLL, chronic lymphocytic leukemia. So,
well, and Mary, I think that, in this part of your life, now that it's amazing that you were married that long, and it sounds like you're pretty resilient and you've got a great family. It sounds like you would like to share some life with another person, and that's great. If you don't have a group of women that you regularly can kind of share information about people that you might like to see, or maybe that they would introduce you to, that would be the next step. And, I think, that who knows what will happen? But if we end up doing some sort of a singles thing, we'll call you first, okay, Mary?
Wonderful.
Well, we thank you so much for calling, Mary. Thank you so much. It's tough to, venture out and get into the new life, after years of doing something different, but we'll stay in touch, Mary. We're going to go to Jonathan, who's calling us from Indianapolis, and he just read E&B. Jonathan, how can we help you today? Thanks for calling.
Hi, it's good to be here. I just had a few questions about the book Every Man's Battle.
Yes.
First of all, I feel like it was a really good book. I got a lot of information out of it. However, for lack of better terms, I feel like it was more catered to, or was more focused on married people and couples. Which, don't get me wrong, that's a very important group of people to help, especially with situations like that. But I was just wondering if there's anything specific that I need to do as a single and someone who's, well, more or less not really close to getting into a relationship with anyone.
Okay, that's a good question, Jonathan. Milan, why don't we start with you, and what would you suggest to Jonathan?
Well, I love your call. It's great that you would call and ask that question because, Jonathan, this is where you start, right where you are. People need to learn to control their emotions and their hormones, male or female, and they need to be thinking about this before they get married.
Right, married or not, I was thinking.
Yeah, married or not, because you can get married, Jonathan, and still have the same problems of I can't retain a focus on my spouse, or I need more adrenaline and excitement to be stimulated sexually. So you're calling.
Or when I'm with my friends, I'm glancing constantly.
Well,
right? At what's passing by.
Yeah.
And so, but that's going to be true because men are visually stimulated sexually. But what do I do with those glances? What do I choose to do with what I just saw?
Right.
And because you can't help but see stuff every day, and advertisers go for your eyes and my eyes because they know we see things. But the answer is you're working on it at just the right time. Jill said something very important. What do I do with all those things I see every day? What do I do with my mind? And how do I think of that person that I saw? Do I see that person who's attractive as a person with a mind, soul, and emotions, or do I see them as an object, a new shiny toy to play with, and then eventually lose interest in? So
yeah, that's the mindset I never want to get into.
Well, I appreciate that, and I love your call. Jill, what would you say?
And Jonathan, I think that taking the principles from the book, because even married people need to practice those things when they're not with their spouse and with other people. Even a platonic friendship with a girl, they need to be honored. Right? And so even if you're not romantically involved, if you're constantly, Googling at other women, she's going to feel devalued. Right? And so you start with the relationships you have and you honor those relationships as well as honoring the relationship with yourself. Right? Is this the person you want to be that is controlled by this, or do you want to put it in a more godly perspective and manage it in a way that's healthier, so that you because it's preparing the path for you to have a healthy relationship, right?
That's right.
We don't just do unhealthy and then, well, when I get married, I'll act differently. You're practicing now, right? It's like my kids were always saying at home, well, Mom, we don't need to practice manners here. We'll do it when we're out in public. And it's like, no, because you won't, right?
Jonathan, how old are you? Can I ask?
I'm 20 right now.
Oh, you're 20?
That's awesome. Yeah. So
I have a kid your age,
that,
Jonathan.
I love that you're asking this. You know,
yes.
One of the things that we teach at Every Man's Battle is that that this is an intimacy disorder. Yes. And so we encourage the men to be in close relationships with other men, because men become men in the presence of men and relationship. And that's one of the things that
right
you could
men,
do.
Becky, the
right
men.
Yes. That's right.
Yeah,
that's
not,
right.
Not a. There are some men that don't foster that mentality.
That's right. Well, and so with that idea, I'm thinking, Jonathan, that I'd like to send you The Soul of a Hero.
Oh,
Steve's
that was a good one,
latest
Becky.
book. And just to get you in the thought process of, I want to be a man of God. I want to be a man of honor. And that will kind of enhance what you've already read in Every Man's Battle and get it closer to what it means for you as a single man and to prepare for whatever the future holds for you.
I'm about 100 pounds overweight. I'm 30 years old, and I'm just really discouraged. I'm scared. I don't want to fail again.
Does this sound like your story? It doesn't have to. If you want to live free of obsessions and compulsions in your eating habits, New Life's Lose It for Life Extensive can help. The Extensive features a one-day Zoom session presented by Steve Arterburn on Saturday, March 19th, plus 5 weeks of aftercare that include a weekly group session led by your credentialed New Life Network counselor, 5 on-demand training sessions from Steve Arterburn and fitness expert Michelle Spadafora, 3 30-minute private coaching sessions from a nutrition and fitness coach, the Lose It for Life book and workbook, and exercise gear to allow you to start a home fitness routine you'll actually enjoy. If you're finally ready to stop going from diet to diet and begin a comprehensive plan that addresses the psychological, emotional, and spiritual aspects of a healthy life, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of the Life Recovery Bible personal size, the 1-year Life Recovery Prayer Devotional, the New Life Journal, a New Life pen and highlighter, and a New Life zipper tote to hold it all. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. It is great to have you with us today. And by us, I mean Dr. Jill Hubbard, Becky Brown, that's myself, and Milan Yerkovich.
Yeah,
we are answering your calls.
Becky, I had another comment for Jonathan. Jonathan, and I don't know if he's still on the line, but Jonathan, at some point, I think you should consider going to Every Man's Battle because I think it is so good to start early to learn about true intimacy, right? And male intimacy that you were talking about, because that's how you become men. And what is finding a good man?
Great suggestion.
Right. And, you know, from the time my son was young, when commercials would come on, I taught him to bounce his eyes, and I would catch him doing that. Something would come on and he would look away. But still, at some point, I want to send him to Every Man's Battle because I think it's so good what we do and what they learn there.
Well, and the other thing that happens there, Jill and Becky, is they're exposed to what happens in other men's lives when they haven't done this at Jonathan's age. How far down the road they get and how much damage is caused, A, to them and B, to their wives and families. I'll never forget the caller who called us, Becky and Jill, maybe 15 years ago. And he said, I'm recovering from porn addiction. And he said, I am grieving how much time I lost with my children and my family. And I'll never forget that call. He was just heartbroken that he had squandered so much time in a fictitious fantasy world. And so that would also be an important thing for Jonathan to see. What happens when you don't treat this, work on this? It's the number one thing men have to work on. How do I harness my testosterone? And I'm going to harness it the way God wants, or I'm going to let the world shape my testosterone, which will say, just go anywhere you want. And I'm grateful for Jonathan's call.
Yeah, and if you want to go to Every Man's Battle, we're going to be in Dallas March 4th. You can give us a call and we'll get you connected, not just for Jonathan, but also for anybody who might be interested in becoming a man of honor and dealing with the stuff that will go unchecked for so many years. Now we're going to go to Sylvia, who's calling us from Turlock, California. She listens on the app, and you can too. You can download the app wherever you get your apps, and it's free. Look for the New Life Tree, and you can listen to us there, as well as we have great resources as well. I'm sure you know all of that, Sylvia, but we are glad you called. How can we help you today?
Hello, yes, thank you for taking my call. You know, I've had a boyfriend for almost 5 years now, and we met in the drug treatment center. And, you know, I prayed and told God, you know, if he's not the one for me, then remove him. And, you know, he's been around for a long time, but every year he goes through a relapse of using drugs, and I get a lot of verbal and mental abuse. And you know, recently he started using drugs again, and I had to kick him out of our house, and now he's showing signs of being bipolar, and I'm dealing with the verbal and mental abuse again, which has triggered my PTSD and, you know, nightmares and things. And, you know, the question that I asked the lady that answered the phone was, should I stay in this relationship? And the only reason I'm asking is because that prayer I prayed, and because everything that I'm hearing, that I'm seeing is like to love him through it, But I feel like I lost myself.
Sylvia, I'm so glad you called. That is really difficult. Jill, you want to start?
Sylvia, yes. I mean, you're asking a really good question, and you have been through recovery as well. And are you still working a program? Are you still going to your meetings?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, I'm still going to meetings. I still have a sponsor, yes.
Good. And have you added like Narcanon or CODA or one of those groups to it?
I don't know anything about those groups.
Okay, so a lot of times addicts also have difficulty with codependency issues. And so I think it's right. And there's a lot of cross addicting that happens with people that are addicts or alcoholics. And so it's important to kind of address all the issues as you're moving along in your recovery. And so not to give up your other meetings, but to add a meeting that will address the codependency issues. Because I think you're really getting torn. Yes, you're wanting to show love and help this person along. But there is a point where you have to realize that there are things he has to do for himself that you can't do for him, right? And to do so, to keep giving him all these chances and trying to help him along, you end up enabling him. And so, right, he keeps relapsing every year. So now you're bringing up also the issue of mental illness. Okay, if there's an issue of mental illness, I do think we have to step in and say, let's go to the doctor and let's figure out what's going on, okay? And we can offer assistance that way. But we have to have the person make the steps towards healing. And so if that person is unwilling, then Sylvia, you have to step back. And I would ask, you know, maybe it's not meant to be that he lives in your home. Right?
So
maybe that would be a way.
I know it's not.
We'll come back
because that's against the
Right.
We'll
exactly.
We'll come back after the break, Sylvia, and we'll continue to call. it is, I love what you just said, Jill. It all gets confused because it all gets wrapped up with the other things. And so we need some clarity so that we can move ahead. We'll be right back after this break.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You are a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We were in the middle of a conversation with Sylvia, who's struggling with a relationship with someone who struggles with addiction. And Jill, I don't know if you want to continue, or Milan, if you have something you want to begin to say.
Just before you jump in, Milan. So, Sylvia, I was talking about not having him in the house anymore. That's a boundary that you can set, right? And that you admitted, well, that is also not necessarily what God wants for you. That isn't God's best, right? And so if you're really wanting to honor God, then there's a sign right there. You asked and prayed to God to show you. Well, then let's start listening to what God says. And don't take that so lightly, right? That there needs to be some boundaries with this guy. He needs to, earn really his relationship with you. And right now he's throwing it away.
Milan?
Yes.
Sylvia, I have to ask this question. Do you and he have any children?
No, we do not.
Okay. So I'd like to go back to your prayer. And I'd like to say that you need to change the prayer that you asked God, because the prayer was, if this is not the one, would just remove him. Like, I don't know what that would look like. A hole in the ground opens up and he disappears, but somehow.
Don't kill him, but remove him.
Yeah, just remove him. And so he just didn't evaporate. So now you're thinking, okay, God is saying, we'll keep him. But what we're trying to say to you is, one of the most beautiful verses in the Bible is, if any man lacks wisdom in a trial, let him ask of God, who gives to all men generously and without reproach. And asking for wisdom, what do I do in this situation? And both Becky and Jill have given you the wisdom to say, you have to make choices. Who is safe, who is not safe? And this gentleman is not treating you in a way that you deserve. But I agree with Jill, there's a codependency that is hanging on to him. Mm-hmm. And then what you also need to explore is, what is the security you're seeking in the relationship? none of us wants to be alone. So a lot of us hold on to relationships because we want to hold on to something as opposed to
and
nothing.
that fear of being alone causes us to compromise.
That's right.
Right? Because we think if we don't compromise, we'll be alone, and God will leave us,
and what do
right,
I do?
with nothing.
Yeah.
Right? And you have to risk that. You have to trust God. He's not going to leave you alone.
And that you can be alone. You can be okay alone if you have a community of friends around you.
And Sylvia, one of the most loving things that we can do for people is to draw a boundary. It doesn't feel loving to them, but to continue allowing him to hurt you, to be destructive in this relationship is not good for you, and it's not good for him as well. We'll get you connected with some resources in your area. I know we have lots of life recovery groups that deal with codependency, and we will send you a copy of the Life Recovery Bible, and I know that will be such a great help. And I also know a great helper who's in the room, Larry Sonnenberg. Hi, Larry.
Hey, Becky. Thank you. You already mentioned it, but I've got to bring it up again. Restore Workshop begins this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right here in Orange County. And a lot of good things happen to women who come to that. It's a jumping off point. It's not come to this workshop and you're going to be fixed.
What's it for, Larry? What women?
What's it for?
Yeah, what the women are coming for? What reason?
They are coming because they have suffered betrayal. Typically, their husband's sexual integrity issues,
or a boyfriend.
Yeah,
right.
Right. We've had someone come there because their father
in their
was,
lives.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
or a dad, or a brother, or.
So if you have sensed betrayal, this workshop is for you. You've got a broken heart. You're wondering what to do. You're deer in the headlights. There's all kinds of things we've experienced from women telling us what their life is like. And there's a testimony. I gave Jill 2 and said, pick.
I know. So they're both so good.
Pick one of these.
Okay, so here's one. She says, before coming to this workshop, I was feeling crazy and not able to verbalize my feelings. I was feeling alone and could not hear clear direction or how to strategize. It has been really wonderful to meet and bond with women of like minds. The workshop has allowed me to free myself from negative beliefs about myself. Understanding the dynamics of sex addiction has brought me new awareness. This workshop has given me peace and joy and a greater love of God for His goodness. I am more prepared to handle this journey now that I realize this is a traumatic experience and that it will take time to resolve and fully restore.
I bet you there's some women in the audience right now hearing that can relate to that. And I bet you there's probably about the same amount of women who are those women who think, I don't need to go to that workshop. But I hope that you heard this testimony and realize that you can have a changing in the way you think. That's what you need, the Romans 12:2 thing. And there's a lot more to it that it's not that simple, because God does that. And if you'll do some things in preparation for getting your mind changed, God can really, Holy Spirit can do a work in you that will be amazing, incredible. And
and Larry, one of the things that we assure you is we're not trying to fix everything.
Amen.
We're not trying to keep you married. We're not trying to make you get divorced. We don't have that agenda. Our agenda is literally to offer you help and hope for those wounds that you have experienced because of betrayal. It's a safe place. You're going to find a great group of women who have experienced that same thing, but it's just, there's so much good energy. I can't wait to see everyone. I will be there. And if you have any questions, just call us and we will help you get there.
Becky, there could even be a male listener out there who is brave enough to say, I know what I have done in our history to destroy our marriage. I want to send my wife to that. And that is another set of ears we want to hit right now, because one of the greatest, we say this often, one of the greatest gifts you can ever give to your wife is to go to Every Man's Battle and work on yourself. But what if you also said, I want to send you to Restore, so you can find community that will help you heal?
Yeah,
and
I love that.
One last thought. There's probably a few women out there who are already divorced because of their husband's betrayal, but they really never took care of their heart and restoring them fully. So think about that too. And
we do.
Larry, and like you said, it's for them. It's for the women, right?
Yeah, right.
Your content may be about this other person, but it's not about them. It's about you.
And folks, we need your financial support to keep these things going. So if you can make a gift in any way, shape, or form, we would deeply appreciate it. And I want to thank those of you who are and have given.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you, Larry. All right, we're going to go back to the callers. Veronica is calling us from Camp Spring, Maryland, listens on WAVA. Hi, Veronica. How can we help you today?
Hi, how are you?
Doing well.
And you and Jill and Milan, I think, okay?
Yes. The gang's all here.
We are here, Veronica.
Look, I love you guys. I listen to your show all the time. You're doing a great job.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah,
hopefully we'll keep doing a great job for you.
Yes. Hopefully you'll think that after your call.
Exactly. Okay, we got a good record.
Sure
no pressure.
Today something triggered this call from a previous call some time ago. I really don't have a relationship with my mother or my father, and I've always looked for approval, and basically from my mom, because I want to feel like I was important. So I don't, she doesn't really talk much about my childhood or anything like that. And so she doesn't even call to wish me a happy birthday. My birthday just passed in December. So I'm still kind of like looking for something from her, and she has she hasn't left the house in about 15 years. She doesn't like anybody living with her, and I really recognize that she has stuff that happened in her life that was painful and traumatic, and so I try to just excuse it and just say, well, that's just the way it is. But I don't feel like I developed matured like I should have. So thanks to God, I have a relationship
Veronica,
with Jesus.
That's good. You can hear the music starting at it. I want us to think about your question. I'm assuming it's, what do I do with my relationship with my mom? But did you have a specific question that we could be thinking about?
Yeah. How do I move on and don't expect anything more from my mom? Or how do I cultivate a relationship with her now?
Okay. All right. That's a great question. And, I've said it before, if it's not one thing, it's your mother. And we have to deal with those relationships in our life. We will answer your call, Veronica, when we get back, and we'll be thinking about it. We'll be right back.
I've been struggling with a porn addiction for the last 20 years.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. They're just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. The Every Man's Battle workshop can help.
I'm 10 years out. It's really changed my whole life with my whole family.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle workshop. Now the workshop is coming to Dallas March 5th to the 6th. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com.
The tools that you guys gave me really has changed me essentially in every way. I'm just so much more of a man that God wanted me to be.
1-800-NEWLIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of the Life Recovery Bible personal size, the 1-year Life Recovery Prayer Devotional, the New Life Journal, a New Life pen and highlighter, and a New Life zipper tote to hold it all. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We are talking to Veronica, who is having some challenges with her mom. And Veronica, before we go to Jill and Milan, I just want to clarify, has this been your whole entire life experience with your mom, or just in the last 20 years?
My whole entire life.
Okay. All right. Milan or Jill, who do you want?
Well, Milan just said some great stuff on the break. I got him to
good.
process out loud, which he doesn't like to do. And so...
Okay, Milan, take it away.
Well,
no pressure.
Well, Veronica, you're asking a great question because you're asking, can I expect anything? And so my answer would be, you've described to me a mom who is inattentive, reclusive, who isolates, and who really doesn't want to be in connection very much at all with anybody. She doesn't remember your birthday, and really she's demonstrating that she's unable to be what you want. And so one of the things we have to do is recognize as an adult is, what are the capacities of people? And so what all of us have deficiencies. All of us have these holes in our backgrounds of holes, cracks, potholes, you name it. And yet in the book of Ephesians, he tells us that we're to grow up. He says, put off the old parts of us that aren't working well, that are a part of the flesh when we come into a relationship with Christ, and then put on the new self. And so we have to let go. And it's almost like taking off a coat and dropping it on the floor and walking away from it. We have to put off something. I think one of the things you have to put off, looking at the reality of who your mother is you have to put off this desire to have her approval, and that you're going to learn to acquire that from other people, relationships. And the author of attachment research, John Bowlby, said if we didn't learn a secure attachment as a child, we can earn it as an adult. And so we earn it in higher quality relationships with other people. If you had a friendship with Becky, if you had a friendship with Jill, if you had a friendship with me, you would be in a relationship where you could feel your growth taking place internally, where you feel less little and less like I need approval. So those were some of the things we were talking about, Jill.
Yes. And Veronica, so often we think, okay, I have this hole from childhood growing up, and so then I'm forever flawed and defective. And the thing is, we all have something, right? And it is really painful when it's your parents and when you still have the constant reminder of them still acting in these ways, right? There's no way for us to go back and get what we needed then, right? And so, but we think that we can somehow, right? Emotionally, we try to do that. And so you do have to recognize, like Milan said, you can't go back and get what you needed then, right? And so that's where we have to grieve, and we have to see that we can move on. I mean, Christ is in the business of restoring very flawed people, right? And so that is our hope. And I don't mean to be touting my book, but I do think my book, Forgiving Our Fathers and Mothers, could give you some guidance.
Yeah, we'll send that to her.
Yeah, as well as a book written by Dr. Ron Archer that we've had on in the past, What Belief Can Do. His story is just amazing.
Oh, he has a powerful story.
He has a powerful story. And his mom, came around and became a Christian in the end, but he had a long life of her really negating him.
Right.
So
Well, and I
it's a
wanted to
beautiful
add,
book.
so Veronica, Jill just talked about grief, and grieving your reality seems like a mountain to climb. But it is possible so that you can reframe what your current reality is. And then you had asked about, do I just accept that this is just what it is? And, I think that acceptance is part of it, but I think it can be a positive thing as opposed to I'm just relegated that this is just the worst thing.
Right.
I don't know your mom's history. I would presume that she's got some challenges, either emotionally or mentally, to be disconnected from a child without cause is pretty notable in a mom. And so, that could be part of it. It doesn't excuse your relationship. That's not, I don't want you to hear that. What I want you to hear is that it's not about you in this situation.
Yeah.
I think that it is more about your mom. And I'm so sorry that this has been your experience. I love what Milan said, though, that finding those relationships where others can mother you in a positive and healthy way. And, even the Titus 2 example of, older women in the church mentoring younger women and getting those connections. I think that could be a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, I have one more thing for Veronica.
Go right ahead.
Which is that, Veronica, you really need to think all of a sudden a big reversal in her role, which happened to me. I think did you tell us that you're somewhere in your 60s? Is that accurate, Veronica?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then that probably means your mom's in her 80s, and she needs help.
She's in her 90s.
90s. Okay. Now,
okay.
So if you see yourself more, and I had to do this with my mom, where I became the parent. I became the one that would check in. I would be the one that would make sure. I would be the one that was following up and meeting her needs because she could not. And I also had to accept that I was never going to get from her the things that I would have liked to have had in a mom. There were many good things, but there were also some things that were not good. And so if you see yourself as the person, because the Bible says, give a return to your parents so that there's someone to really take care of them. So for you to look at her, if she's in her 90s, she'll really be getting worse in terms of her capacities. And so she will forget things. And so if you see her as someone who needs care, and so, Mom, I'm just calling to check up on you. How are things going? That's a very different role. And you'll feel more adult by being that.
That's right. That's right. We're going to send you a copy of Jill's book, Veronica, and we thank you for calling. I think the challenge of, just forgiving those who should have been better than they were is a journey. And yet I love what you just said, Milan, because that reframe can be powerful. And we don't know what her story, we don't know what she experienced that shut her down, but there's usually some sort of cause for that behavior that doesn't make sense. But, that's why when we talk about at New Life, we talk about Romans 12, 1 and 2. But the second verse says, don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. And, we started this program today with the barriers from seeking help, the barriers of seeking help. And I think so many times we can get stuck in our manner of thinking, and we need to ask God for that fresh thought process in place. We're so glad that you joined us today. Jill and Milan, thank you so much for your wisdom and encouragement for so many people. Well, you're welcome. But I just think of how many things that we have all experienced together in discovering how God can renew our minds. And I just think that it's such a great gift. And if you need any help, please give us a call, 1-800-NEW-LIFE, or go to newlife.com. We have so many different resources that can get you on your journey to finding true and lasting transformation in God's will. We appreciate you listening. Thanks so much.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.